Pat, we're stuck sort of in the middle of the week as we record this show. We don't know the outcome of the Patriots game, but I'm looking at a team that's 8-3, has played some pretty exciting games. In a normal season, we'd be thrilled to death with the way this thing is going, and yet there's shakiness involved, don't you think?
Well, I mean, the record is one thing. You're right. I don't think it's the record that's making Bills fans uncomfortable. I think it's all the bad luck that surrounded this team over the last 2.5 weeks. You have the flu ripped through the team. Then you have the game moved out to Detroit. Then you have more injuries on top of the injuries you already had happen during that Browns game. Then you got to go back on 4 days shortness with the weather still affecting you. Oh, here comes the flu again. They got you again. Oh, and then there's more injuries that you pick up in that Browns game or in the Detroit game. Excuse me. Von Miller might be gone for the season. Thank God we're hearing this week that Von Miller is planning on being back for that Jets game. But then you get back from Detroit, you got to play a game again. You don't get the mini bye. You got to play a week later on a Thursday. Oh, and the flu's back. Here comes the flu again. Look, I think that, again, we're taping this before the Patriots game. I have all the confidence in the world for the Bills to take care of business here. You win against New England. You get the Jets at home. You get the Dolphins at home coming off 2 back-to-back West Coast games. And you start to get people healthy. In a matter of 2.5 weeks, Bills fans will be a whole lot more confident than they have been the last 2.
Especially when you add on the fact that, remember, we went through this Mike White thing again. And I don't understand how Jet fans want to go right back to this wheel again. Do we not remember what happened where he basically didn't want to go back into the game last year against Buffalo? Okay, let them go down that road, Duffy. That's good for you. Let them go down that road. They want to take the second chance again. Zach Wilson has basically lost that team, but he could easily come back if White gets hurt. So we'll wait and see what happens. So the Jets' defense is hard to deal with. That is the one thing I'm a little bit concerned about. Their defense is pretty good. Other than that, I think the offense for the Bills will be a little bit better if they stay healthy. I do give them credit. Winning those 2 games, I think that galvanized that team. It brought them together. They had to deal with that snowstorm. They had to deal with the flu. They had to deal with Detroit twice, came away with 2 wins. That's the type of week that could propel a team into the playoffs if they keep that momentum.
So I'm sensing optimism, Tariq, as opposed to Pat, who scares off easy. I sense optimism from the middle box here.
Reasons why it's fine, Bill. I just gave you reasons why it's fine.
Yeah, but you sound like you expect them to lose the next 4 games.
You did bring up the flu 3 times. I think you brought it on yourself, to Bill's point. But here's the other thing too. The only team that kind of scares you at the end of the season, if you're really worried about the Dolphins, that's great, but they have to play in Buffalo, is Cincinnati. Because I think they're going to be scrapping at the end of the year to try to make the playoffs, makes them a dangerous team. If the Bills are solid at certain aspects as far as home field advantage goes, maybe Kansas City drops a few games. We'll wait and see what happens. That's going to be really your last little scrappy game before I think the Patriots game is the last game of the year.
Yeah, I'm thinking Cincinnati's a good team anyway. Go ahead, Pat.
I understand what you're saying about Cincinnati. I don't know if Cincinnati's a good team, man. I've watched a lot of Cincinnati games this year. There are games where they look unbelievable. There are games where you're wondering what the hell they're thinking going out there. Look, man, the next 3 weeks for the Bills will tell us a lot. The next 3 weeks for the Dolphins are going to tell us a lot, right? Like, everyone's been riding high on this Dolphins thing. Did you see the teams that they have beat on that 5-game win streak? It reminds me a heck of a lot last season of what the Patriots did on their 7-game win streak, where they were catching luck. Like, okay, the Dolphins have a West Coast road trip to San Francisco, a West Coast road trip to go play the Chargers, and then they got to go play in Buffalo. 3 straight road games against legitimate NFL teams. It's possible that if the Bills win the next 2 and the Dolphins lose their next 2, that when that Dolphins game is over, after the Bills have been in second place for however many weeks, they have a 2-game lead in the AFC East with, 4 games to go?
All right, then I take it back. You are being very optimistic. And, these things are important because right now, and as we go into the Patriots game, the seeding difference between being first and second in that division is 2 and 5.